Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you to Nekant and Stone Moshed for the resubs, along with Kermit Barris and Blue Daedric Dragon. Thank you very much, and welcome, one and all. And no, I know you all heard a little sound clip earlier and you thought, Quadico, he's here already. No, that was me checking through some videos, and it was the Fallout video. Quadico is going to be staying in. She's socially distancing. So much so she's avoiding the internet. Yeah, it's 4:30 in the morning there, guys, and she's going to be skipping this week, so it's a little too much having to get up at 4:30 twice a week for this sort of thing, so we're skipping. And let's face it, to be honest, the Fallout 76 streams have only been a sort of throwaway, shall we say, random thing. The fact that they've become quite predictable is almost bad, because the Thursday stream is supposed to be 1 hour of me giving you the news as fast and punchy as possible. Not me rambling for an hour and a half and then just falling into Fallout 76 and rambling some more. Yes, I know some of you want that anyway. Bam Brown! Thank you for the resub. Oh no, that's a sub. Welcome! We don't watch Fallout 76 for Fallout 76. Yeah, no, I know. The point is, the Fallout 76 streams are not actually official streams on the timetable. They were, I'm just going to do some playing after this, and then it just became a bit of a habit. So, and as I said to Quadico, there are better games to be getting out of bed at 4:30 in the morning for, yeah? So, was your apartment one of the ones that got shoved into the sea? Because at this point it would not surprise me. Have apartments got shoved into the sea here? No, it's not. Oh, you want the life news first? All right, life news. You're never going to believe what happened. You're never going to believe what happened this week. You're totally going to believe it. You are. You're totally going to believe it. But I've got to say, you'll never believe it because, I want to feel like it's 2019. I want to be able to say, you wouldn't believe what happened and have people go, what? Rather than, yeah, I probably would. Did dragons actually appear out of the sky and eat your house? No. Well, even if they had, I wouldn't have been surprised by that. It's 2020. It is 2020. We're not surprised. Yeah. I mean, we should have known this was going to be the year where we would all get to the point where we would expect anything. We should have. Because we knew this year was going to be a meme, right? We knew this year was going to be memed to death, and we knew it was going to be a meme. It's 2020. Right? You knew it was going to be like, hindsight is 2020. Thank God it's 2021 now, at the new year. Things like that. You're going to be seeing t-shirts of like, hindsight is 2020. Let's make 2021 all about foresight. And then you'll have to explain, that you said foresight, not anything else, and tell that person off for having a dirty mind. That sort of thing. You knew this was going to happen, though. 2020, that's what 2020 is. There are no surprises. Quadico sent me a video. It was a really funny video. I can't even remember who it was. YouTuber. She sent me this video, and it was a YouTuber parodying having time travel powers, going back and telling herself about, what was going to happen a month ahead. And it's hilariously funny. It is hilariously funny. In fact, I probably should put a link to it. I can't remember what her name was. It was very, very funny. And totally not prepared. Whatever. I'll try and link it to you later. But the important thing is it was all, set around the idea of everything's just getting more and more ridiculous. So I don't even know why we're surprised. She brought, yeah, that was it, Nolka, Julie Nolka, yeah? And one of the bits in there was this scene where we're doing murder hornets now? Yes, we're doing murder hornets. That's 2020. So anything I tell you now is just going to be utterly tame. In comparison to what we have grown used to in 2020 and what I've grown used to in around here, it's not going to surprise you. Because, hey, guess what happened this week? Do you remember that bit of road? Do you remember that bit of road down the bottom I told you? They came along and they just dug it up and then they recovered it. And then a week later, they came back and they dug it up and then they recovered it. Guess what happened today? Just go on, guess. Yes, they have dug up the same bit of road and covered it 3 times in as many weeks. Because of course they have. But it doesn't end there, because I got it in stereo. Other end of the street. Because I live on this like a short street, that spans between 2 other slightly longer streets. Other end of the street. Digging up the road that end as well. Don't think it's for the same reason, because I think the reason they're digging it up at the end that's been like 3 times is they were laying bike paths. And I think what they did today was actually dug up a bit of the bike path and made an actual pedestrian crossing across. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, why instead of doing it 3 times and digging up the bits that you've just laid down, why don't you just do it once, get it over with, a lot quicker, and a lot less destroying work other people have done? I know what you're thinking. But you can't do that because it's 2020. And that would be sensible. We're not doing sensible in 2020. We're doing, think of the worst thing you could possibly think of. That is it. That's 2020. That's the t-shirt. I'm gonna make that t-shirt. Think of the worst thing you can think of. 2020. That is it. It's not hindsight, really. Hindsight isn't 2020. Paranoid foresight is 2020. That's what the meme should be. Paranoid foresight. Oh my God, what's going to happen? So yeah, digging up the other end of the street. Luckily, not that loud. It sort of got in the way. I couldn't do any recording of like the Let's Play today, but I did manage to go through. I re-edited a video that was an edit of it. Basically, video 7 for the Vortex tutorials, I redid that. I had to update it. But whilst I was waiting for the new version of Vortex to come out, they changed it yet again, so I had to update the updated video. Which is absolutely fine, not a problem. That's how this is. I'm trying to stay ahead of the curve on that. But I think actually the fact that I try to make these videos in advance and then show them what I'm showing them can actually help them while they're doing the debug process, and they go, oh, you know what, that's a problem. Yeah, you know what, we should change that, and they change it. So I think sometimes me preparing a tutorial and saying, hey, this is what I was thinking of releasing, allows them to go, oh, are you going to be mad if I fix that? So you have to redo the video, which, no, I'm not. Do I like drum and bass? Yeah, sure. I like most things. It's sort of, not like, I mean, sounds like very non-committal. I have a very wide range when it comes to music that I like. So a lot of stuff that you guys would just be, you'd just be like, what? I can't believe he likes that. There's very little music. There's some music I don't like. It's usually pretentious stuff. But, you know. Anyway. So that was it. More noise. But it's not been that bad here. I mean, for all my ranting about it, it's not been that bad here this week. I've had 2 whole days where I got work done, believe it or not. I finished episode 5 of the new Let's Play. 5 episodes now. 5 episodes, right? The basic aim is I need to get 5 done each week if I want to stay on schedule, i.e. stay ahead of the curve. I'm now uploading videos that are in what I call my buffer. My buffer is what would happen if I lost the internet for 2 weeks, or what would happen if I was ill for 2 weeks and couldn't work. And I have a buffer to just basically be able to keep feeding videos in. I'm now into the buffer, so I'm trying to get it. I'm now having to stay ahead, and I need 5 videos a week minimum to be able to stay on target and try to creep slightly up 4 is the minimum. If I get less than 4, I will run out of videos. And I got 5 now. Yeah, it's not quite as good as, I got 5 done this week. One of them I started over a week ago. That was the first episode. But it took pretty much a week and 1 day in total, that one did. Maybe even a week and 2 days. And the reason for that is this time I'm not doing a prelude and then the series. Because Vampire the Masquerade it's got this tutorial at the start. When I first did a series of Vampire the Masquerade, I moved on now, haven't I? I've moved on. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Was there any other household news? 2020 zombie apocalypse buffer. Yeah, I was complaining about 2020. And here's the thing, my 2020 is not that bad compared to everyone else's. No, it's not. I'd rather have my 2020 than pretty much everyone else's. Yes, I would. I'd prefer to have my 2020 than pretty much anyone else's. So, take my complaining with a pinch of salt. Yeah, it's... I'm the guy that somehow managed to get on the space capsule that escapes Earth before the zombie apocalypse breaks out and kills everyone, and is complaining that the quarters are cramped. That's me. Yeah. So there you go. Did I get a dinner chair yet? I have not got a new chair yet, no. Oh, for the dining room. Please, that's never going to happen. I will be sitting on the kitchen floor for dinner until the kids grow up and leave the house. That is just how it is. I have come to terms with it. I'm now focusing on far more important things than what I do for dining room stuff. For example, getting a new TV. So there you go. Pretty sure that's the home situation. There's no real technical news. I've not done anything yet. I haven't attempted to fix my laptop yet. Cat Nerd, thank you for the resub. Yeah. Do we need to start a dining room fitting chair? No. What? You like a fund? Like a GoFundMe? No. We'd have to get me a much bigger apartment right in the centre of town, which would be next to impossible because you'd have to be like a multi-millionaire to get such an apartment. My family just don't want to move. And there aren't any. I mean, even if I was a multi-millionaire, it would be kind of difficult to find an apartment in this neighbourhood that was big because, you don't find many such things. Most normal, sensible people wander out into the middle of nowhere once they get a certain number of kids into a certain age. And I'm all for it. I'm definitely all for it. My days of wanting to be right at the centre of town, for a relatively quiet week. Thank you very much, Kermit Barris. Thank you very much. Yeah. So I'm all for it. I'm all for moving. My days of wanting to go out, nightclubbing 3 and 4 nights a week are gone, so I don't need to be able to walk home, which was convenient. It's, those days are long gone, and my days of wanting peace and quiet and, to be able to sit on a chair and eat my dinner are now here. Unfortunately, I'm outnumbered by everybody else who really wants to stay here. And the worst thing? We don't even get the refusals. I don't even get no, we can't. I just get the kids going, I don't want to leave. And their mother pretty much the same. Just like, but I love it here. It's like, so she does the worst. She does the best thing from her perspective, worst thing for me. She agrees that we need to move. She agrees that I'm totally 100% right. Totally 100% right that we need to move. But at the same time, letting me know that she will be utterly miserable and devastated if we do. So there you go. Organon model. Thank you for the resub. So anyway, I'm staying here with all the noise and the craziness, and I'll complain about it, and then I'll apologise for complaining because realistically, I'm complaining that I didn't manage to get episode 6 of my video series out. When they talk about first world problems, they should be pointing right at me. So there you go. Ooh, was that? Did we have a hype train? We had a hype train. Hype train. Oh no, the hype train's going. We have a hype train. Matthias 2377. Thank you very much. Yeah, all right. So that's it. That was it. Home situation done. Okay, I did get ahead of myself. I got ahead of myself, but I started to discuss the Let's Play of Vampire Masquerade. Right. So when I did my first one with Freddy, the Malkavian, I did a prelude where essentially it was like my old style prelude where I just went, so this character's going to be a Malkavian, you know, and here's his character traits, blah, 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 right? And it was that. And then I did a tutorial, which I made, and I called it Episode 0 because I don't know if you guys remember the tutorial for Vampire Masquerade, The Bloodlines, is really amateur hour. It's really, it's old school tutorial, but at its worst, right? It's old school tutorial at its worst. Like, I mean, I've done the tutorial again, but for example, this time I've tried to cut out the worst of the tutorial tips. Like literally a pop-up window straight in your face saying, press E to, it doesn't even say press E to open doors. It's like, opening doors is a really useful thing you will want to do. To open a door, you need to get there until the icon appears, and then you press the E key by default, which obviously for me it's not. And then it's all this, and it's like, bleh. So what I've actually tried to do is on the worst of them, cut them out. But the way Vampire Masquerades throws them up is kind of annoying because it doesn't even just freeze the screen. Some games do a really good thing, like Kingdom Come Deliverance. I don't know if you ever noticed with Kingdom Come Deliverance, if you watch that series, there are a few points where a pop-up should appear, right? Well, it did. But Kingdom Come Deliverance does something brilliant. The pop-ups just go, bam! Like, time freezes, the pop-up appears, and then when you finish with it and press the button, the pop-up disappears and time continues on. There's none of this fancy slow down or merging in the background where it's like, bam. That made it brilliant for video editing because I could quite literally read the pop-up, then get my hands back on, press record, get my hands back on, press escape, and then continue and try to act all nonchalant like it never happened and edit it out post. Because, you know, I'm very obsessive. Because nobody would have cared about that pop-up. But I do. Especially if I'm trying to be in character. That's the worst thing about it. So with Vampire the Masquerade, some of them are so computerized, I had to cut them out, right? Some of them I've left in. Like, some of them are like, such and such a discipline allows you to do such and such a thing. And I read that one out and I decided to leave it in because in a way, it almost felt like I was repeating a lesson Jack had given me or something. It was more about what I as a vampire could do, not, ooh, I can press space to jump, can I? Brilliant, I'll press space to jump. So it was, I could sort of say them almost in character as though I were playing back or repeating a lesson to myself rather than talking computer speak. So if you do watch that Let's Play, you're probably going to see the tutorial. It's going to feel occasionally a little bit cut. Trust me, I'm cutting out moments where I was mid-sentence and something came up and I went, what? You know, and then read some stupid tip. Okay, we got the level 2 hype train, emo. Did I miss something? Kermit Barris gifted another sub. And a lovely way to burn also gave another 100 bits. I just started playing this game. Got it from you, by the way. Really interesting. Oh, you mean the Vampire Masquerade? Brilliant. So anyway, yeah. So that's part of the problem with the tutorial. The other part is it's a little basic. Everything about the start of Vampire the Masquerade is a little rough around the edges. A lot of the game is actually rough around the edges as well, but the modding community smoothed those edges off. They couldn't do much with the tutorial. So anyway, rambled on. The short version of everything I just said is, for Freddy, I decided to make that episode 0 because I felt like you could skip it. You could skip it the way very often people might want to skip tutorials, although you don't want to do that if you're playing Vampire Masquerades because you lose 2 experience. So I made episode 1 where he was starting in his apartments. And I can't do that for this new series. And the reason I can't do that is this time I decided to do a prelude where what I did was, well, I did my, not quite my usual sort of preludes, but I introduced the character to you. And it's pretty important, I think. I think it's pretty important to see the first 3, 4, it's probably 4 minutes of the video. But I felt like it made no sense to go from, I could still have the prelude, and then I could have the tutorial, and then I could have start episode 1. But what I have found, looking at the analytics, is the number of people who watch the preludes for my Let's Plays is about 2% of the number of people who jump straight into episode 1. Think about that. Not for my Skyrim ones. At least not on their initial playthrough. So Let's Play Skyrim episode 1 definitely gets a lot more views than the prelude for chapter 1. Leonard's first episode gets more views now anyway. I mean, in the first week it didn't, and over the first few months it didn't. But now, when people search for it, lots more people find Let's Play Skyrim Special Edition episode 1 with Leonard, but not the prelude. So I've actually realised my tendency of making preludes that explain the character is a bad habit for YouTube. It's a bad habit for YouTube because of the way people search for stuff. People are looking for a Let's Play for Skyrim. They'll find episode 1, they'll start watching it. Nobody thinks to look for an episode 0. Nobody thinks to look for a prelude. So, now don't worry, for my Skyrim Let's Play, I'm going to stick with the current formula, which is separate preludes for each chapter, I think. I think I'll do separate preludes for each chapter, but I don't actually need to. If you actually think about the Skyrim prelude for chapter 1, that could have been the first 4 minutes of episode 1. It could have been, and it would actually be a lot better. Generally speaking, because people who come along and watch episode 1, it's weird. You go back and look at the view, well, you can't do it. If you can look at the view statistics for the last 28 days on Vampire Masquerade's episode 1, it's my most watched Let's Play video right now, and we all know why that is, but it's really, really quite watched. I was quite surprised when somebody made a comment about that series being popular, and I was so I went and checked, and it was like ridiculously popular. At least episode 1 was over the last 28 days. The prelude, almost no one had watched it. So overall, it means my preludes don't get the coverage, and for me, it's not about the views. My preludes have become really important now. For Vampire the Masquerades, it wasn't important because my prelude for Freddy is nothing. It's not important. And neither was the tutorial in a way. But the way I did it this time, the prelude, I think, is very important. But also the tutorial is as well. It's the way I do things now. I think if you watch the prelude and the tutorial, which is now episode 1... you'll get some insight into the character, basically. You'll get some insight into the character that I think is probably going to be, useful. Although I'm still guessing people are going to be coming along and going, why did you do that? Even though it's something I probably explained in the first few minutes of the video. But, So anyway, from now on, I don't think I'm going to be doing preludes on Let's Plays. I think I may do the fancy intro. I may do the first few minutes. It depends, and it really does depend, and I can probably only ever do it on games I've played before and know, but I'll just make them beginnings. And if I do something like Let's Play Oblivion, Sky Oblivion, or Let's Play Tale of Two Wastelands, I'll probably make the prelude the beginning of episode 1 as well, from now on. just because it makes the damn sight more sense. When people come along and they find that episode 1, they'll get the prelude with the character introduction and then the start of the game. There you go. Anyway, and I was explaining all that to explain to you that actually took me approximately a week and 2 days to make. The prelude took me ages. They always do. They always do. But then even the tutorial took me absolutely ages. Part of the reason was I was halfway through the tutorial when I realised I didn't have subtitles turned on. And I just thought, you know what? You need them. So I went back and redid it. But also because I spent all the time editing out those bloody things. So there's just tons and tons of editing and trying to get it right. So it just took ages. It took ages. But not just that. I also spent a lot of time trying to tweak things. I was having mouse stutter issues, and then I was having slidey movement issues, and I tell you what I am having still, audio issues. Still having audio issues. I'm trying to find ways of fixing it, but it's almost impossible in that game. I can tell you what I've done so far is after episode 5, I'm hoping the music in one particular nightclub is a little lower. I've only reduced it by about 1.5 decibels, but I'm hoping it's enough that it's not skull-breakingly loud. And I'm reducing the main menu music because that's the music that pops up whenever you open the character menu. I've reduced it by 2 decibels. I may reduce it by more. And if you're wondering, why would you do this? Why not just turn the in-game music sound down? You can't. In Vampire the Masquerade, it's such an old game, you've just got one volume slider. And I tried tweaking it through console commands, but they don't work. Even ones that should work. And I think it's because it's on a really, really old version of the Half-Life engine. But it can be annoying, especially seeing as the music sometimes is a little too loud. So are the atmospheric sounds. The atmospheric sounds and even the combat sounds can be too loud when compared to the voice. Now, I did find a way of increasing voice sounds, right, via console commands. Brilliant, yeah? No. Unfortunately, again, with the game Vampires, the voice sound is massively, massively flaky. Some of the voice sounds are very, very low. Like Mercurio, some of his lines are lower than the others. And I think they're lines that were actually cut from the original game, but were added back by the patches, which, help pad the game out and make it, better. And, for example, in a certain bar, the barman speaks low to normal. But the owner of the bar, she speaks loudly. I mean, she's got crystal clear audio. Hers is some of the most important audio in the game, though. So obviously, I have a feeling they re-recorded it. But it's massively loud. And if I tweak the barman so he's loud enough to be heard over the music without needing subtitles, she sounds like the bloody voice of God in your head. And not in a good way. So it's... I think what I would need to do to fix it, really, is unpack every single game sound, every single bit of dialogue, and go through every single line of dialogue and manually edit the files themselves. It would be a monumental task, and I was hoping someone had done it, but they've not. You can alter things like the music and the background noises in the scenes. It is possible to do that, but... unfortunately, again, it has to be a mammoth task, and I'd have to go through each file and tweak the volumes of the music compared to this, that, and the other, and I'd actually need to visit every single solitary cell in the game to get it right. And I might be able to do 1 or 2 places and think, oh, that's all right, that's not so bad, but then everyone else would be crap and everyone would be commenting on it. So just bear in mind when watching this series, the sound is not something I've got much control over. And for that reason, when I'm editing these episodes, I'm keeping the volume a little lower than I would say in Skyrim. I'm keeping the volume overall a little lower because it can just be a little there are just moments when it's like a bit much. So I've turned the volume down, and then when someone talks, I manually boost the volume back up so you can hear what they're saying better. But again, it also boosts what's in the background. So if there's loud, bloody music in the background, the music gets louder as well. It's not perfect, but it's better than having it on all the time to brain busting levels. So yeah. Anyway, didn't someone send you a mod for something related to volume in the first series? No, not that I know of. I'd love it if they did. I would love it if somebody modded it so you could tweak the individual game volume sliders, but I suspect if they had, it would be all over the internet. Everyone would love that. It's one of the most searched for and asked for features. So, however, even if I do find some solutions to these problems, which, like, for example, I have altered 2 audio files, 2 music files, and reduced the decibels a little, hoping that they will be a little easier on the ears. And I may continue to drop them, but I don't want to drop them too much. I don't want to go and drop it massively and then realize everything sounds ridiculous in game. So I've dropped a few decibels, and then probably 2 episodes will go by, and then I'll drop it a few more decibels and try and get it better balanced. But generally speaking, I'm just going to be working around this. It's an old game. It has its own little quirks, and I think people will probably just get used to it. But I'm expecting quite a few comments. Can't you set the game volume down? Nope. However, I'm enjoying playing it. I am enjoying playing it. It's, yeah. Am I using the plus version of the unofficial patch? I don't know. How do I know that? I think I am. I think I'm using the plus version. It's got slightly different music in some places, which is the plus version, right? Is it the plus version that adds lots of the original cut content, right? And the basic version just tries to fix 1 or 2 glitches and lets you play in widescreen and things like that. Compression Unlimited would help in your audio editor. It doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, I use them anyway, but that's not the problem. Unfortunately, is not the problem. It's very, very hard to get a compressor to work on the sort of sound you're dealing with in this game. As I've said, obviously, sometimes the ambient sounds are louder than the voices. It's really weird. It's very, very hard to describe. So I tried tweaking everything, reversing what I would usually do on those settings, and it just didn't seem to make much difference. It should say in the options menu. How would I... If it's the plus patch or not. Okay. Well, out of curiosity, why is it important? I mean, all of my videos have got compression both on the game sound and on my voice. I've got used different compression settings for them. Because with the game, I want the game to have a maximum ceiling, but not necessarily a lower ceiling. Because there are some moments in game when you want it to be quiet, whereas with my voice, I actually want it to be a lot more constant. So even if I'm whispering and I'm quite low, you actually want the gain to increase slightly so you can still hear it. You can tell I'm whispering, but you actually want to be able to hear it. So I have different settings, but... Okay, I'm looking at the options. Where in the options? Gameplay. Unofficial patch 10.5. So it's not the plus patch then. Oh, wait, it isn't. Doesn't the plus patch add the disciplines into this character sheet? I think it is. I can't remember what the difference is between the normal patch and the plus patch. I've got the normal patch, I think. And I don't think you can change halfway through a game. Thomas CT, thank you for the resub. But I can tell you, I think the plus patch added extra backgrounds. Oh, to the histories. Maybe. Oh, the background I've used was fine. I found one that matched the character I had in mind perfectly, actually. So Plus has more game content, and no, you can't change mid game. Yeah, I mean, there are definitely signs that things have changed with the official patch, but back it up and make a new install. I'm not starting the game again though. I mean, I'm 5 episodes in now. I'm 5 episodes in, and I don't know how much content the Plus patch has and whether it's worth, starting again. I did consider a mod called the Clan Quest mod. I did consider the Clan Quest mod, but because someone said it just adds a quest line for each clan. Unfortunately, it doesn't. It actually adds a lot of gameplay changes as well, including character model changes, which I didn't want. So, I decided against that in the end. But it changed quite a lot by the looks of things. It wasn't just the quests. So I didn't want to change the character models because I'd already done the prelude. I'd already done the first 4 minutes. And it'd take me over a week, and I was not going to go back and redo that. I did try ENBs, but they made the game way too dark. So there were certain scenes where, even during the intro, I watched it and you could barely make out. I mean, people complaining about pitch black in my Skyrim series would have liked it. I mean, I couldn't see some of the characters that were in the dark. At one point in the cutscene, Jack was leaning against a wall, and all I could see was a cigarette he was smoking. So, yeah. So it's pretty much a vanilla playthrough, except for the unofficial patch 10.5. However, I don't think the Plus patch would have solved the sound issue either. I will tell you, if it does, if the Plus patch has got something that solves the audio issue, I'd actually consider replaying. Yeah, I tried some texture mods, but it was extremely weird. I didn't like it. In fact, I didn't get it working properly. So ENB only works for clans that have Auspex because it lets you see in the dark. Yeah, probably. So, but I'm looking for a fairly vanilla experience, I think, because for me the game isn't about how it looks, etc. It's quirky, but I liked the idea. I liked the quests. I liked the characters. So that's why I'm playing it. Playing it again just to reacquaint myself with the game before the next one comes out, but also to see if there is a big difference in how you play the game as a Nosferatu. So, and it is interesting. It's not quite what I was expecting, actually. It's not exactly what I was expecting. Is it spoilers if you ask when the first episode is coming? Pretty much when chapter 7 finishes. Basically, it will just slide in straight after chapter 7 of Leonard. So, a couple of weeks, basically. So there you go. That's been my week, really. Dealing with the odd bit of noise, not as much, and actually being able to play Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines and enjoying it. I have been enjoying it. It's nice to be playing an old game like that, he says, coming from Skyrim, There's just something about it. There's something about that sort of game, even though it's clumsy, even though it's really rough around the edges. It's just, I don't know. It's nice. Kind of curious, why did you never install a mod to fix Skyrim's broken alchemy? Alchemy's not broken for me, so never needed to. I didn't realize anyone was finding the alchemy to be broken. I've actually never played an Alchemist before Leonard. Leonard is my first Alchemist. I think I may have used alchemy on some of my characters, but I think Richard did use alchemy, didn't he? Didn't he use alchemy? It was like he considered that to be science, sort of. I think he used it, but like it was for healing potions. I think it's healing potions. Yeah. Did he use it quite a bit? What did Richard use it for? I thought he just used healing potions, really. I can't remember. I don't remember him using poisons. I don't remember him using skill buffs. Resistances, all right, maybe resistances. Yeah, maybe resistances. But like, not like, I mean, I wouldn't classify Richard as an alchemist. It was, yeah, resistances and healing. Predominantly healing, I'm guessing. But I would not have considered him... I would consider him an alchemist the same way you could consider Leonard a bowman. Richard was the reason you had to stop picking ingredients the way you normally do. Yeah, I was making people sick. Yeah, I remember that. I think I always imagined Richard as being okay with alchemy because he's a very scholarly person and it doesn't feel like magic. But I think the Skyrim alchemy system for a warrior character is pretty basic. I mean, really, as it stands, trying to play the game as an alchemist is not actually, it's not really. I wouldn't say it's not normal. What was Richard's thing? What do you mean? Apart from not wanting to be there, Richard. Yeah, I don't know about you saying not wanting to be there. Richard was pretty much where he I don't say wanted to be there. Richard, if you'd have asked him, do you want to be here, he probably would have said no, but he was always walking there. He was always going there. But what was his thing? His thing was he was a warrior. Richard was a warrior. Richard was a bowman. He was a bowman and a swordsman. Primarily a bowman, but also a swordsman. That's what he was. Alchemy in Skyrim isn't broken, just the economy of potions is. Oh, right, yeah. If you make your own potions, you could break the Skyrim economy, but I just don't do that. I honestly just try to keep making the potions I'm going to use, and I only ever sell potions that I find. But yeah, the potions that Leonard makes are ridiculously overpriced. What I tell myself is this is the price Leonard puts upon them in his own mind because he believes anything he makes is so much worthwhile than everyone else. Yeah, that's its value to Leonard, but no one else would buy it. That's what I keep telling myself. I mean, let's face it, Leonard's poisons are bloody powerful. You could probably get 3, 4, 5 times more than... Mind you, that's a point. I mean, some of these poisons, like virulent poison for 50 damage, they sell for like 500 and 600. Leonard's poisons will like obliterate that and do like 20 times the damage. So it shouldn't be a surprise that they would be a king's ransom. I suppose, actually, when you think about it, Leonard is right to consider his potions so damned incredibly powerful because they really are. You mostly remember him as a librarian, Richard. Yeah. Richard was a bit of a reluctant hero. I suspect most heroes are. Begrudging hero. Oh yeah, I mean he wasn't one of these. I've got up this morning and decided I'm going to be a hero and I'm going to stand everywhere with my legs wide apart and my hips thrust forward and my hands on my hips, proclaiming to the world that I am heroic, that I will back down from no man or dragon. He's not that kind of hero. But he always kept running towards danger, didn't he? Always kept trying to save people. I don't know, is that begrudging? I suppose. Crafting in Skyrim in general is broken if you abuse it. Yeah, pretty much. But It's a little broken, to be honest. You can very easily make infinitely stronger potions and enchantments in the game. Oh, right. You could abuse the potions and enchantments together. I just would never do that. I mean, to me, there's no need for a mod to stop you doing that in my mind. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. I mean, if Leonard ever became good at enchanting, he would enchant things for alchemy. He might well enchant something to make his potions better. Would he then make potions to make his enchanted items better? No, he'd probably do it once. I could see Leonard taking a potion of enhance crafting and then crafting armor that makes his alchemy better, and then wearing that alchemist gear to make the rest of his potions. But he wouldn't go into that cycle. I can't imagine him doing that, to be honest. I cannot imagine him doing that. Yeah. To be honest with you, I think potions that improve enchanting probably shouldn't be a thing. Probably. That's probably the easiest way to disable it. Just make it so that you can't use a potion to make your enchanting better. You want to get better at enchanting. Enchanting's just, it's an innate thing, and you take time to enchant things. And, you know, because one of the problems I have with Skyrim is how quick everything is. I'm going to make the best dragonbone sword that has ever been made. I am going to spend 2 seconds purifying myself, and then 1.5 seconds making it. Boom, boom! 5 seconds later, I have the greatest dragon sword ever made. You know, and the same is true with enchanting. You know, I'm going to add 2 super enchantments that will take dragons out of the sky. There you go. Everything's done a bit too quick in Skyrim, and that includes even learning spells and things. So, I would say a potion that enhances your enchantment wouldn't work if it took you 2 days to enchant an item, right? It wouldn't work. And a potion wouldn't last for 2 days, something like that. So that's, I would just justify it like that. And yes, actually, overall, I would actually have it so that when crafting and when enchanting and when learning spells, it takes you time. As many people now know, I'm looking at using better spell learning, so that becomes forced. But you'll probably also notice that much like before I installed Frostfall, I still treated the game as though it made more sense. Whenever Richard went to learn a new spell, he would go back to the college, you'd see time fade by, he'd normally spend at least a day there, maybe 2 days, and he'd learn maybe 1 or 2 spells, depending on how long he spent there, yeah? I always try to have it like that. I never liked the idea of, you know, I mean, let's face it, how many of you have played Skyrim, right? Of those of you that have played Skyrim, how many of you have played a warrior, but you learn every single solitary spell you ever found in a spell book? All of you, right? None of you put your hands down. None of you went, no, every single warrior I've ever played has ignored the spell books. No, you didn't. You found it. You're like, oh, I can learn that. And you learned it. And by the end of the game, you're the greatest warrior ever, and you've got a bunch of spells you've probably never cast, ever. And where did you learn them? While crawling around a dungeon, looting for gold and killing Draugr, right? Yeah, you casually kill a Draugr lord and slash at a ghost, and then you finish and you stand there and you go, haha, there's some gold. Oh, conjure Dremora spell. Oh, now I know how to conjure Dremora. Amazing. And then you wander on, yeah? It's just casual learning the secrets to control the universe. Yeah? It's almost like a little life hack. Comes on a little post-it. You know, ooh, life hack. Summoning Dremora is a cool idea. Just point at the floor and go, and it'll work. Ooh, really? Ooh, look at Dremora. Excellent. Brilliant. I'll be on my way. That's how Skyrim's magic system is. It's how it's everything. That's Skyrim. I try to pretend it isn't. This never bothered me. I learned everything to save on carry weight, but hadn't enough magic to case it anyway. I'm not saying it should bother you. It just doesn't make any sense from a narrative point of view, does it? Right? It doesn't really make any point. I think it would. I think it would be much more meaningful if you learnt spells from a college, and if what actually happened is when you found spell books talking about that spell, you could use it to speed up the knowledge of that spell. So you'd go to the content, I found this tome, and you'd learn it, and you'd read through it, and it would give you some insight from another mage, and it would take you 40% closer to being able to make a fireball. You know, but like 5 hours have passed. But beyond that, the way to learn is to go to the college and do an hour's training with one of the teachers, and then you get a bit better at fireball. And maybe you'll get to a certain point where you've got 50% skill in it, and you can cast them, maybe, but there's like a 50-50 chance that they won't work. That would actually be an interesting one, wouldn't it? If you learn a spell, and I've learned it to 7%, and then you stand there and you go, pfft, and nothing happens. Pfft. And it's got basically a 7% chance of working. Every time you press fire, it's like, oh, that would actually be a fun system. You'd be learning to cast the fireball as you go. And each time you use the spell, you get slightly better at it. And I know that would just mean some people would stand there looking at a wall going until they got 100%. I get it. I totally understand that. But I think that would be much more interesting. Basically the same way as you learn... Because you learn the actual skill of conjuration that way. Why shouldn't you actually be able to master the spells that way as well? That would be a bit more interesting. But I think that's one of the major problems I have with Skyrim when trying to do Let's Plays later on. Magic and massively ridiculous, non-mundane things are the norm for the player character. And I know you try and justify it by saying, well, here's the hero. Of course he can learn every spell ever known to man without even paying any attention. Of course he can craft the greatest bow ever made in 3 seconds. He's the hero. Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the entire thing. Because nobody else can. I mean, I am assuming that not every Imperial has got Voice of the Emperor. Because if every single solitary Imperial has got Voice of the Emperor, why has no Imperial in Skyrim ever calmed me? But apparently Leonard has got it. You'll notice I always pretend he doesn't. Because again, I'm very much against the idea that every single race in Skyrim, it's just like they were born pooping magic. They were just, it's like, you know, like... Dunmer pops out and says, I'm hungry! And an ancestor ghost appears and ravages the mother. Yeah, no. Not everybody should be able to do that. There should be a point at which maybe they can do it if they learn it, and it should be difficult. It should be... Otherwise, that's the other thing. When I'm fighting Dunmer, I don't see ancestor ghosts all over the bloody place. And I'm glad I don't. That would be annoying. It would feel ridiculous, you know, as ridiculous as finding common bandits in full Daedric armor. So yeah, I think. Anyway, yeah, I have no idea what topic we're on. How the hell did I get here? How did I get here? Where am I? Is it still 2020? Please tell me it's not. Yeah, okay. I think we're done. We've been at this for an hour now. So yeah. Let's call it. That was like the biggest total hour of nothing ever. I gave you no information really beyond a tiny bit of information about my Let's Play. Oh, and please don't assume because I've told you that the Vampire the Masquerade does have issues here and there that I'm not enjoying it or it's not a game that's worth playing. It really is. If you're thinking of playing Bloodlines 2 when it comes out, I would highly recommend getting Bloodlines and just work through the rough nature. Just use the unofficial patch, work through the rough nature and give it a try, because it's brilliant. It really is. It doesn't take itself very seriously, but it's serious enough to be interesting. The story's great, the characters are great. It's a really, really good classic RPG. I thoroughly enjoyed all my playthroughs. I enjoyed doing a Let's Play of Malkavian. I'm enjoying playing the Nosferatu, and I'm looking forward to, you know, getting better and more powerful and seeing where the character goes. So I highly recommend you do. Don't take any of the things I've discussed about sound too much to heart. In fact, they make a lot less difference if you're just playing the game. If you're playing the game, it's different. You don't mind loud music as much in a game when you're playing it as you would in, say, a Let's Play. So anyway, and on that note, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for listening to me ramble on, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you again next week. There will be nothing following this as far as I know. Quadago is not going to be joining me for Fallout 76, and I don't have anything else planned, so I'm probably going to go off and start working, seeing as I couldn't get much done today. Well, not any recording. So yeah, who's that new cheer? Squeaky Rabbit, thank you very much. So, good night and see you on Sunday. I forgot to have the chat showing during that. I just had one screen the entire time, didn't I? Didn't have the chat showing at all. Oh, the people in the video on demand are going to be going mental. Ah, well.